Welcome to the Path Podcast. It's January 24th, 2024. My name is Tani. Really excited to have Jeff back on the show, and as always, stoked to be here with Ak. Thanks, guys. How you doing?
Good, great. Jeff, it looks like you got a haircut.
I got a hair grow. I've been letting it go for a little while. Yeah. I think I'm gonna try a little longer. It's winter time, so awesome. gonna let it go a little bit. Yeah. Thanks for noticing.
You're welcome. That's the question I get. Why'd you do it in the winter time? You know, shave my hair.
Right. It's noticeably colder. Like when you go to a shorter hairstyle, it's noticeable.
Yeah.
We had you on the show right before you went to Spain to visit with Orbea, and at that time, right after. That's true.
Yeah, right after.
And at that time, I think you had been working at the Path for a couple months.
I was still relatively new. Yeah.
And it's been a while, almost 2 years.
Almost 2 years now. Yeah, it'll be a year in July, or
awesome.
2 years in July. Yeah, it's going great.
A lot of time has gone by. I'm glad you're back on the show.
Yeah, likewise. Thanks for having me back. It's always fun talking bikes with you guys.
What's the bumper sticker for the last couple of years for you? Like, what have you been up to?
Putting 96,000 miles on the van and a bunch of mountain bike trips. Yeah, these last 2 years have been a lot of weekend travels, just a lot of mountain bike trips. Yeah,
I've ridden some rad trails lately. I'm excited to circle back later on the show and talk about that.
I've been pretty fortunate these last couple of years. Yeah.
That's cool.
I was kind of wondering, like, what does 2 years look like? Because I remember, when we first had you on, it was kind of like, Jeff is kind of like
it'll be 2 years in June, right?
July.
Yep.
Like you're checking out different aspects of the shop and various talents that you brought to the shop. And what's the past 2 years look like here in the shop for you?
Here has been great. I think the whole team is growing, and particularly now that we're in this new location, it's really neat to finally get moved in here. We've been talking about it and planning it for a while, and it's exciting. It's exciting to have everybody's part in this growth and this open up this new store. I think in this last year and a half, I think I've settled in a little bit more. I feel a little bit more comfortable now. It's kind of see where I fit here, and that's the neat thing with the Path is it's definitely very family-like, and it's really neat how everyone comes together and displays their own strengths. And we come together as a team to have a lot of fun, but the job still gets done. It's a great team to work with.
Great. What is a week in the life of a work life of Jeff Miller look like here at the shop these days? These days,
it's a lot of customer service up front, helping the customers when they come in. We're always talking bikes the whole time, and that's the best part of this whole job is it almost doesn't feel like a job. I think the last couple of months though with the move, that's kind of on everybody's mind, and everybody's been working hard to get that done.
Sure.
So I feel it's going well though.
Yeah, Jeff's been really elevating everyone's game around him. That's been a role that he's really stepped into, is helping people realize their potential and grow and be comfortable and get what they need, getting people to feel seen and heard, and then productive. So that's been really awesome to have someone that's so awesome with that, because not too many of the people on staff have time for that, really.
That's nice to hear. Thank you. It's tougher talking about myself, so it actually really nice to hear that. Thank you.
Jeff has done a lot of different roles at the Path while he's got to know the organization, and while he kind of helps us clean up it. Running retail is kind of sometimes a bit of a game of whack-a-mole of like, time to re-establish boundaries on that, time to reset expectations on that, and time to on so forth and so on. And so it's really awesome to have someone who can jump on those kinds of things and move them forward. And so you did a bunch of service writing, which I think really helped us at a time when we needed it, and helped you see a lot of different aspects of the shop, and helped you see where we could gain some efficiency and some kind of peace and happiness in the workshop. And that was awesome, has been awesome. And then the last week or the last 2 weeks, Jeff has taken the point role in moving the workshop because we're in the we went past the point of no return on that, so to speak, last Friday, as in dismantle enough of the original workshop that we had to get this up and running.
Had to happen
really
fast.
fast.
Exactly.
And we laid a bunch of groundwork leading to that point. And Jeff got really did a great job getting everyone on the same page, including me, keeping me on the same page. And today was kind of, there's still work to do, but today was the day. Today was the day that we got functional and started being able to do repairs here at the 649B location. So that feels awesome.
First work orders were done today.
Yeah.
Hey,
that's
fantastic.
exciting. That's a big step.
And we have three of our potentially 5 workstations ready to work in tomorrow, plus the service rider station, which really makes 4. Our suspension service station and wheel building station are almost ready for production. We're doing tags here now, and the First Street workshop is no longer, the drop-off location is no longer where we're going to work on your bike.
So what, in your mind, besides avenues like the podcast, how do you see getting the word out and helping people transition over here?
Well, so far, we have really engaged social media and newsletters, so we already people just already seem to know. Also, people were starting to show up here to get their bike fixed before we were ready.
Oh, wow.
I think we still are able to take your bike in. If you show up at First Street, not because you didn't know,
Right.
and maybe you have time constraints, we can totally take your bike in at First Street. We'll write the work order there. We'll move it over to B Street, and we'll move forward from there. You'll pick it up at B Street, though.
Right.
Yeah.
Got it.
So we can still, and if for some reason that is not convenient for you, we can transfer it back to First Street for you. I don't see any reason why anyone would need that, but
Calling the pack yak.
yeah. So that's exciting to say that. And Jeff, I speaking for myself, this has been a pretty big undertaking, and it's been, I'm a little overwhelmed today. So, yeah.
Well, it's, when I walked into the shop this evening, just before the podcast, I had a chance to walk through. It looks fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I'm really stoked.
It's really awesome how everybody came together in this last final push. It really is a huge team effort. I mean, everybody stepped up and really just made it happen. I think knew the urgency. It had to happen in a week. But
Right.
Everyone came together and got it done. Yeah.
The custom fittings on the work stands for the tools.
It's a nice touch. Yeah.
So the crew carved little custom wood shapes that are fastened to the tool walls that kind of cradle each tool just perfectly.
Right.
It's pretty cool.
Like
And that almost it ended up being quite a bit more really work than we anticipated, and we kept having. There's this thing where we kept pulling techs off of the move to help one more customer. Oh, someone really needs their bike fixed, right? Like, someone always really needs their bike fixed, and most of the time we're like, we want our bike when we're ready to ride too, so we kind of get it.
Get it.
Right.
Yeah. So I think that's probably the biggest shop news now, is that all of the regular retail operations in Tustin have moved to B Street, and so pick up and drop off for repairs was kind of the final piece. Mm-hmm. If by the time this podcast comes out, there won't be too many people like this, but if we texted you or contacted you that your bike was done prior to today, January 24th, and didn't tell you tell you otherwise, it's still at First Street. The bikes that we finished at First Street are still at First Street. The bikes that we finish at B Street will be picked up at B Street, and that's moving forward. And we will let you know when we text you that your bike is done, which address.
Speaking of texting, is the text service? When did the text service go back live?
When we fired Podium and hired Ikiono.
And it happened instantaneously almost. Yeah, it was fantastic.
And saved about 70% and got better services. And check this out. Ikiono, the new texting service, integrates with our point of sale system.
Oh, wow.
So we can be looking at your work order and your text thread in the same window.
Oh, man.
or we can text you your receipt directly from the receipt.
Oh my gosh.
In a couple of we text people their receipts all the time because usually, unfortunately, a lot of times it's because someone got their bike stolen, but other times it's for warranty, that they're getting their bike warranty work done or something. And it's never great news for the person who's getting their receipt texted. Usually, occasionally it's just for the files.
Do you think so? Not a lot of people want that just as a regular.
I think they usually, as instead of a paper receipt.
Yeah.
You know, it used to be that we had to print it as a PDF and click, dozens of mouse clicks to make it happen. So it wasn't something that we were eager to offer.
Right.
But I think, maybe we'll talk about that, right? Like we can offer just text you or email you the receipt instead these days.
Right.
And these days it's always on file anyways, so it's easy to retrieve that information. But
I don't know. Sometimes when I had a lot of work done on a bike, it's for me before I come pick it up, it kind of gets me thinking about like that's cool that they.
I would want it emailed to me if it was an option.
Yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
Yeah,
for
I
sure.
would keep it on file.
I think we're gonna probably start offering that. I mean, now that it's pretty much just as easy as printing the receipt, as long as we have the info in your contact already.
So we were. I think the last time we were recording was a week ago Monday, and we were talking. We were hoping to have the text service back up in a couple days, and I guess hopefully that.
And to anyone who didn't listen to the last podcast or who didn't catch this on the last podcast, our text service in Tustin was down for about 2 weeks from the end of December for the first couple of weeks of January. And it looked like we from the side of the sender, it looked like we were getting the text, but we weren't. So we still love you.
We just weren't responding. Yeah,
we still love you. We still want to be your bike shop. And if you text us now, we'll get it and we'll get back to you. Yeah.
Couple other things. Yeah, so that's super great that you're saving money and responsive and integrated with the text service. I wanted to jump back to the workbenches.
Yeah.
You know how sometimes you get the like in the bleed kits, you get the Allen keys or the Torx keys.
Yeah.
I love the fact that you guys are making use of those on the.
They got repurposed into very pointy tool holders. Yes. I'm not sure it's a great idea, but I love it.
I don't know. I mean,
hope OSHA isn't paying attention at this moment, but
yeah, it's I think was it you that said "pimp my ride" workshop style?
Yeah, we are trying to create that effect for our techs.
We've got some very creative people that work with us, and it's interesting to see how that manifests.
You should have seen Jesse and Raul and Frost and myself and probably one or two and Brian all gathered around the suspension service station and the sink, orienting different vices in different ways and talking about, but this one would work, but we need 6-inch clamps and it has to have this much depth. And we kept yeah, it was awesome. But the outcome is that, the vise will be in just the right place over the drainage and for short people and tall people and, good access to all the right knobs and everything. So,
and the drainage is custom as well.
Yep.
All custom. Yeah.
Yeah.
So custom.
So custom.
We should put some purple anno on that drainage.
I'm down for that.
Yeah. So the workshop looks fantastic. Bikes are hanging up in the stations.
Yeah, it's true.
It's great. Maybe we should do a whole podcast on the workshop sometime. I wonder if we could pull that off.
Oh, I'm sure we probably could, especially if we bring in a couple techs.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, we should probably have Frost and Raul on to talk about building this place out too.
I mean, those guys spent months, fabricating, creating all of this.
Yes.
Yeah. A lot of kudos to those guys.
A little bit of shop news.
Yeah, for sure. Let's.
I just got an email today from marketing. We're going to sponsor the OC MTB races in Fremont Canyon again. There are ways out, but I think it's good to get it on your calendar. First one's August 24th.
Yep.
Go ahead.
And there's going to be another one out in November, but
Yeah.
we'll talk about that several times.
Yeah. They just announced those dates, though. So even though it's a ways out, I thought it would be cool for some people, because some people, maybe you don't plan your trip to Hawaii for that date now.
That is true. That is true.
Next over the hump is February 10th. I have been noticing people, including employees at the shop, getting out all the old slalom bikes and like dirt
Jumpers.
bikes.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's hot.
Yeah.
The black market might make a...
I would have to put gears on it, I think.
Yeah.
I think it. I don't know if I'm going to be able to be ready for that event or not, because I have to go out of town for a minute in between here and there too.
Right.
To check out a hot new bike from Pivot that they'll be announcing in the first.
Ooh,
Mark
we
your
saw
calendars to
that.
watch Pivot in the first week of February right
6th,
around there.
I think that was the...
Something hot's coming from them.
Yeah. They
But
had,
I think if I were going to do that, of my current quiver, it would probably be my Shadow Cat. I think that'd be decent out there.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Little extra air in the
pump
suspension.
the suspension a little bit up and maybe put some fast tires on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, that would be super fun. I guess they got like 150 entrants or something, and I bet they're going to get more now because
I
it's
think
got
more.
because
Yeah.
it got good feed. People liked it.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
It goes to show this area really wants that,
yeah, I want it.
How about you, Jeff? You thinking of racing that?
I think those days are over, to be honest, if I'm being totally honest. But I do have the bike for it, so and it's just collecting dust. So,
Why not?
all right, I
right,
think that's a challenge.
That's very...
Are you going to race those?
Man, I have a bike.
There we go. Okay,
All right.
you and I will do
All
it.
right. February 10th. We're going to try this.
All right.
Oh, gosh.
Wow,
I have no shame. I mean,
something might have just happened.
just happened. Fantastic. So that's February 10th. All right.
I'm in. Yeah,
I'm in.
The gauntlet has
The
been
gauntlet.
laid and accepted.
To be fair, it didn't take much.
I don't know what kind of gauntlet it is, but yeah, I mean, there might be some laughter being had on the way down.
Yeah. For sure.
So far, this has been very impactful because before this show, we weren't planning to tell our staff to offer to email or text your work order sales receipt. And we weren't planning to have dual slalom head-to-head with Hawk and Jeff.
Love it.
Oh, man. Better buy some fast tires for the
What category?
old man
Sport?
beginner.
Beginner?
Yeah, I mean, I'm 50 now, so
Oh, we could both go in the 50s.
yeah.
Is it 50 and up? Is that what it is?
I don't know how they
think
break
so.
it. I don't
I
know.
think it's like younger than that and up.
Oh, no.
I don't
no.
be racing the kids.
I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Well, sport?
I mean,
We'll see.
Whatever.
This is your first dual slalom race.
This is my
Yeah.
first.
You
it
are a
is.
beginner at dual
I
slalom
am.
racing.
Nah, you can't sandbag like that. No way. No way. In
Yeah.
fact, everybody's gonna be sandbagging in the sport class too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The experts are going to be sandbagging into the.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Right. So we just do expert. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly.
We should sneak out there and ride the course.
Oh yeah, let's
I bet we can get permission to do that.
do that.
I would love to pre-ride that. Yeah.
Maybe not though, because part of the course I think is on land that you can really only ride during. Well, we can find out.
Well.
Dawn Patrol every other Tuesday,
Yeah.
still on, continues to be on.
Where do we meet for Dawn Patrol again?
Usually at Irvine Park Lot C,
Lot C. Yeah.
Got it.
6:45 a.m.
Yes. 6:45 a.m. I missed the last one. I don't know what I was thinking. Yeah. Blew it on the timing. It was Dawn Patrol. Obviously, it's got to be
AM,
before
not
the sun.
PM.
Yeah. Before the sun rises.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
That ride is led by Tyler.
Yeah.
If you haven't ridden with Tyler, I would say it's worth dragging your butt out of bed that early to get to ride with Tyler and to meet Tyler and to get to know him. He's that
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah. Come into the shop, and if you meet him, you'll kind of understand.
He's pretty enthusiastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was on our,
He's a ray of sun. He's a ray of sunshine.
at 6:45 in the morning. She did it.
Even at 6:45 in the morning. Yeah.
Right. The Salma's Pizzeria ride.
Yeah. So we're kind of co-promoting that ride or just helping get the word out. 6 p.m. on Wednesdays. Bring your lights.
Yep. have some pizza?
Sometimes Ethan goes out there, and he's not going to be doing that anytime in this season, I don't think, but sometimes Ethan's out there fixing bikes and introducing himself to riders. Ethan works at the Trabuco Canyon store. Ethan's also super long time Path customer. I asked him to come on the podcast, but we respect the fact that he's not into the public eye. He's shy. In fact, a bunch of the people at the Live Oak store are a little too shy to come on the podcast, but you should go meet them too.
Yeah, for sure.
They're not shy in person.
They're not shy in person. Yeah.
That got us kind of talking a little bit about pizza before the show.
Oh, I always talk about pizza.
How about a quick rundown on some of the top pizza places?
Well, like I said before, Lou Eddie's up in, what is that, Sky Forest, I guess?
Right.
Just around the corner. Now I'm going to blow the place up and not going to be able to get pizza when I'm up there. Oh, what did I just do?
The place is over.
Where's this Instagram?
That's right. No, right around the corner from Sky Park. That pizza is surprisingly great. Yeah, that's one of my favorites.
Not Lou Molnetti's.
Not to be confused with Chicago-style pizza.
Right,
yeah.
right. I threw out Rance's. It is true. It is a true Chicago pie. It's in Costa Mesa, and order it 45 minutes before you actually want to eat.
Yeah.
If you want that genuine experience, fresh everything, it's fantastic.
And something more close, Trenta is That's my new favorite.
Central?
Local favorite.
Trenta. Where's that?
That's on Newport and 17th-ish. Might be one block over, up or back, but right around that area.
Yeah. You guys said Wise Guys?
Wise Guys.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think Jake mentioned Wise Guys. That's solid.
I think Wise Guys is good.
That's
I like Roma d'Italia.
I like that too.
Roma d'Italia is a long-time family restaurant in Tustin. They've got that old school, like Italian-American restaurant vibe. Yep. Second generation. That's the people who own it now are the kids of the original owners, and they're a little older than us. I worked there in high school.
That's awesome.
When I was the pizza cook, it was the best pizza. And I was saying before the show, what I think a pizza should do, you should be able to hold it by the back crust piece, and the whole piece should hold its own weight because it has that kind of crispy crust.
Yeah, no flimsy pizza.
Yeah. No flimsy pizza.
It's not pizza, and it's another local Tustin eatery, I guess, or market. Claro's Flatbreads.
Well, and that's just an awesome spot too. I love Claro's Italian Market.
There's so much about it
on Main Street in Tustin. They make really good sandwiches. I always love. They have the pre-made sandwiches.
Yep.
They're kind of soaked how the tomatoes kind of soaked into the bread a little bit, but it's not a thick slice of tomato.
Right.
And normally that would kind of be a negative thing, but on these it's perfect.
And the challenge is, they pre-make the sandwiches and then they sell out of them.
But also that bread is made there, and the crust is so crusty that a little bit of soft juice on the soft part of the bread isn't killing.
I'm also a meatball sub fan.
Oh, my
God. Their meatball sub is fantastic. Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah,
100% true, man. Yes. I'm really wishing I didn't have an allergy right now.
Gorgonzola and walnut. Their gorgonzola and walnut flatbread is
all right.
Excellent. Their eggplant flatbread is awesome, of course. And then all the things in their, like the pasta salads and the seafood salad.
It's a great market.
The stuffed peppers.
And just the smell of the air inside the market.
Yeah, right.
The stuffed peppers are so good.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. My wife was in there one day, and she was like the next in line, and some customer was there. My wife says, she must have tried every single thing. Can I try that mushroom? Could I try one of those? Can I taste that? So anyways,
that's a good plan. Yeah.
So the pizza ride, Selma's Pizzeria, you can get some pizza as well and talk about other great pizza in the area while you eat and ride. So that, I think, any other rides to talk about? I mean, shop rides?
Not at this moment. Probably not till daylight savings time.
Yeah.
Unless it's, we might have a standalone, but not like a weekly.
Right. And that's coming up sooner than, man, I can't wait till daylight savings time.
Oh man, yeah, it's so nice that we close at 5, and I just noticed the other day that the sun hasn't set. The sun hasn't set yet, so it's that's always a sign that it's coming, and that made my day.
Is that sometime in March? I think that's sometime in March.
I forget every year.
Sounds right.
Yeah. So
Other news, some new bikes that we put on sale recently. We added the Trance 27.5 threes to our sale at $19.95. So now we have, 27.5 still has kind of loyal fans, and there aren't a lot of options. So it's good to have something to offer, and that's such a kind of balanced classic ride.
right.
And I think the people who want a 27.5, I think a lot of them do want that really balanced, nimble kind of classic trail bike feel that bike embodies,
Right.
So I think it's a good choice for a lot of them.
And it'd be a great dual slalom bike.
And it would.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Trance versus Shadowcat.
Yeah.
And then we put your bike off, that Trance Elite 2, the orange one, on sale for $59.95.
Yes.
That's such a great deal.
It's silly.
That is silly. Yes. It's a fantastic bike.
I want one so bad. Yeah.
I was just riding it this past week and did a whole bunch of somewhat technical riding and some steep type of stuff. Yeah, it was fantastic.
Mountain Bike Allen seems to like his.
Loves it. Yeah.
He's crazy about it.
Yep.
Everyone who has one loves it.
Yeah.
I feel like if it was a brand like, say, Santa Cruz, or if it was a brand that had strong kind of a certain marketing quality,
Mm-hmm.
it would be like the only bike we're talking about.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. It really checks the
agree.
boxes of what I want. Lightweight, playful, feels more like a trail bike. Absolutely capable though when it gets technical.
Yeah.
And then if you want to do that long day, that long several hour ride, then put the battery pack on there. Range extender.
And the idea of having an SL bike that's full power and managing it with range extenders, I think that in the future we will be doing a lot more range extenders on e-bikes than we are
so
now.
too. Yeah.
And I think there will be a lot. I think the battery size will be more. You don't want a huge battery. You just want a battery that's good for an hour and a half or two.
Yep.
And then you want range extenders.
Yep.
Yeah. The reality is, without that range extender, that would probably encompass the most of rides that I do. Just at the Palm Canyon Epic this last, I guess it's 2 weeks ago now, but that would have been the perfect bike plus the range extender, and that would have been, that would have been.
And
great.
if you want to not shuttle it, have two range extenders.
Interesting. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Right?
Yeah.
And you could probably almost not shuttle it with one range extender if you just do a lot of eco.
Yeah, but
That wouldn't be as cool.
That wouldn't be as cool.
How was Palm Canyon Epic? I hear it's just legendary right now.
Man, it is legendary. It's running so good right now. The local bike shop there, they put a ton of.
What are they again?
I forget every time.
Oh man, shout out to them. Hopefully someone
They
can.
also do the shuttles out there too. But yeah, they're.
We would love to plug you. We just forgot to.
Yeah, sorry. But the trails are fantastic, and like I said, I do that trail quite a bit, and it's running some of the best that I've ever ridden.
So for those who don't know, can we just get the general lay of what this? Usually, most people shuttle it.
Yeah.
You drive up. What's that highway? So you drive up some mountain highway.
Yeah,
from
well,
Palm
you
Canyon.
go like you're going to Idlewild, and it's
the
the highway
backside.
that drops down from Idlewild down through Pinyon Pines. That's where you drop off at, all the way down to Palm Desert, and that's where you leave your shuttle. That's where you leave the shuttle vehicle, is down in Palm Desert.
So it's a huge plunge.
There's different ways to do it, different finishes, but it's 23 to 26 miles roughly, depending on which route you go. I've done it. The majority of times I've done it has been on my regular bike, but 2 years ago I did it on an e-bike, and don't know that I'll do it on a regular bike again. I mean, that's like the perfect e-bike ride in my mind. It's like it's. I mean, it's still challenging on an e-bike. It's like it's a difficult ride. It's a challenging ride. And
There's a lot of pedaling, even though it's a shuttle.
But on an e-bike, you just keep your momentum going, and you carry momentum where you normally wouldn't on a regular bike. And it's that whole trail, top to bottom, is just so much fun on an e-bike. I say on my regular bike, I'm just suffering through it. I'm just trying to trying to finish it.
Right.
With my fitness, that's how it is anyways. But on an e-bike, you rip it, right. And there's some really fun sections. Yeah.
It starts up in kind of a more kind of almost forested, and then you plunge into kind of a more deserty and a bunch of different types of soil. And there's some weird kind of relics out there.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's cactus everywhere.
And there's fast and flowy. There's fast and chunky. There's swoopy. There's a lot of different. There's kind of like steep and slidey. There's a lot of different like kind of trail styles along the way. Most people take at least a couple hours.
Yeah. Even on e-bike, it's a 3 hour. Well, I mean, you can hammer it, but
if you had all e-bike riders, how long do you think that would take you?
2 hours and 45 minutes. And that's taking a little break in the middle,
right?
I would say.
Right. And then if you're on a regular pedal bike,
probably takes me like 4 hours.
Right.
I mean, again, I'm not the most fit rider, but the pace is just way different.
Big ride.
Most of the time I do it is with a mixture of both riders, both pedal and
the e-bike riders are fresher and having more fun.
Yeah. and then pushing there's a 3 mile sand wash in the middle of it that is just on a regular bike. It's just a nightmare. And on an e-bike, I'm in boost mode doing 19 miles an hour up that thing, or towing people.
Right.
Yeah. I usually give a little bit of bit of push. Yeah.
Right.
Most riders I ride with don't want the help though. I'd be taking that help all day long. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Throw out the tow rope. I'll take that.
Man. So what e-bike are you riding?
The Giant Rain.
Oh, right.
Yeah. I put a 180 fork on it,
Yep.
and I love it. And that I had a ton of fun on that trail with that bike. Yeah. There are some really chunky sections that I was just blasting through, and with Cushcore on there, there's a lot of rim-killing rocks out there.
Right.
And in fact, a year before, a friend of ours broke his carbon wheel out there. I've smashed a rim. It happens, Right. And so, but with Cushcore DH tires, 180 travel, just pointed downhill and smashed through everything,
Right.
But I'm not knocking the rain. It's exactly what I wanted out of the bike then, till I rode the Trans Elite,
Right. Right.
or the Trans X Elite. That is. Rather than just plowing through stuff with my bike does, and it's fun,
Right.
but with that Trans X Elite,
And it gets more, again, the thing that I notice, it's the difference between a 57-pound bike
That's
and
it. Yeah.
and a 47-pound bike.
There's like a lot of sections that you can just kind of boost off a rock and land in a rock garden,
Right.
and that's with big travel bike. It's super easy to do, but on that bike, it'd be even more playful.
Right.
I'm yanking to try to get over these
Right.
jumps. Where on that playful bike,
Right.
just sail over it. Yeah.
How much does your Trans Elite weigh, Hawk?
I think it's like 47.
With Cushcore or no?
Cushcore XC, but
When we
coil-
first weighed it, it was lighter, right?
yeah. But I think with the coil, we put the coil on the rear. It's got coil on the rear, and then also Cushcore.
Yeah.
I really feel like it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 46, 47 pounds that you get down light enough to get
Yeah.
a lot of the benefits of the SLE bikes and handling.
Totally. Yeah, mine's 58 pounds. There's a big difference between the way a 58-pound e-bike rides versus, like I said, in the mid 40s.
But also, like, my Bullet was I think about 50,
Yeah.
51. But so maybe only 4 pounds heavier than Ox Trans Elite.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the handling is in a different category
Yeah.
as far as just how hard it is to bunny hop, just for example.
That's it. Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Which kind of is an indicator of all kinds of stuff. But
I think it depends on riding style also. If that's the type of rider you are, you like to pop and jib off of things, then.
But if it's harder to bunny hop, it's also harder to pick the front wheel up over a ledge.
Yeah.
It's also harder to pick the front wheel up and just scoot it over to another part of the trail.
Yeah.
On steeper, techier sections, it's harder to maybe make that hard turn at the bottom, or
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, the timing's different. The timing seems there's I don't know if it's just in my head, but I feel like there's this kind of like threshold where things get past a certain point and you have to kind of change your riding style.
That's a great bike.
Well, it's got a 800 watt battery, so I mean, no problems with battery issues on that ride.
Right.
Even pushing people up the sand wash.
Right. It's pretty fantastic.
What other cool rides have you done lately?
Lately, it's like I'm not riding through the week, but I'm just riding cool trails on the weekends. My favorite place, and obviously Greer, I think, is some of the best riding in Southern California. That place is already blown up, so I'm not doing anything now.
Right, exactly.
I mean, on a weekend you can't even
Don't
park
go there; it's crowded.
Right. Exactly. On the weekend, it's nuts.
Yeah, the weekends it's totally nuts. But now it's perfect time of year to be riding out there. And so I went out there this last weekend and rode there this last weekend. There's some new trails out there now too. I just can't get over it. You know, the trail builders there, it's something special. Yeah. It really is.
The flow I think EC kind of set the tone out there, and the kind of flow and waiting and unwaiting that the trails encourage is pretty rad.
Yeah. They're just really, really well built trails. You know, they're built in such a way where, well, the way trails are supposed to be built, but water runs off. They don't need a lot of maintenance after the rain and that type of thing, you know, until what a lot of riders are doing out there now is, they're cutting the turns they're called climbing turns. So they're turns that kind of sweep back and forth like this. And they're done that way so water doesn't run down the trail and erode the trail. You know, that's why it's built that way. Right. And then now riders are coming in and cutting those turns, and they're just going straight up the trail. And so now, I mean, the next big rain we get, the water's going to keep running down and erode all those trails. And so the local riders, they put the broken sticks across where people are trying to go through, you know, to try to deter people from doing that. And people aren't getting it. And this last time I went, it looks like a freeway all the way up the dang trail. It's kind of upsetting because I know, you know, we all do trail work and we know what kind of damage that does, you know. So for those riders that may not know this, you know, don't cut trails. The reason why the trail's built the way it is so the water flows off the trail a little bit better. And you do particularly in this area, you do a tremendous amount of damage when you cut trails. It takes years for that vegetation to grow back. Sorry, I got off on a tangent there. I get frustrated every time I'm out there.
That's a great public service announcement.
Yeah, it just frustrates me. I mean, I know the amount of work that's gone out there, you know, and there's so many more trail users out there now, you know, and so all the more reason why etiquette is so important, you know.
So much has gone into the design of that, you know, one-way climbing, one-way descending, Greer, and like the way that everything, like you said, the way that's been designed is for a purpose.
Yeah, definitely. So the couple new trails that I rode, new trail I hadn't ridden before, I stick to the ones that I knew because they're just incredible. And then I did some exploring around this last weekend and found two new trails that I hadn't. Well, they've been tuned up a little bit, but one completely new trail that I hadn't ridden before. Wow. And so great time out there. Palm Canyon Epic, I said I did a couple weeks ago. And I rode at Luiseño Bike Park for the first time. Hope I'm pronouncing that right.
Where is that?
That is east of San Diego, kind of south of Palomar, that kind of area out there.
I haven't heard much about that.
They're doing great work out there. The trails are built really well. The shuttle up to the top, you're on the flatbed of a truck. You load in the bed of a truck with your bike. And it's pretty rough ride heading up the top, and you're kind of. Right. I was sorer from holding on to the truck bed than I was from the ride, but yeah, we had a lot of fun out there. The trails are good, and they're just doing more and more work out there. I can't wait to see what they build that place up to be. It's a lot of fun.
Did you ride the downhill course?
I rode everything out there, so I don't know what they ended up
putting in the course.
What they roped off for the course, but we rode all the trails that were there. I think there's 3 or 4 main trails.
What's the dirt like?
It's like DG, decomposed granite kind of stuff, you know. So I got it. Well, we rode it right after it had rained, and so it was in really great shape. So it holds water really well too.
Is it steep?
Not really.
Did that much elevation change?
I mean, it's a long descent. Pedally though, so like I was on an enduro bike, 170, 167 ish. I would have been on my trail bike if I knew, there's some proper rock gardens and that type of thing, but a trail bike is perfect for out there, in my opinion. Yeah.
Like
Nice.
a Trans X.
That's so that's my trail bike is the Trans X Advanced. Yeah. 150, 135. That's kind of my go-to rig around here,
I was just going to make a comment on the Trans. That is a really popular bike. Yeah, it's a really and a really capable bike.
Yeah.
How do you have your setup?
I have, let's see, so reserve wheels. Obviously, ask the guy up front, aggressor in the rear. That's kind of my go-to tire setup. I kept everything stock suspension-wise. It works great,
Right.
and put shorter cranks on. 170s I'm on there now.
Okay.
And then I'm telling you, I'm loving the TRP brakes. I've got those on my trail bike and on my DH bike, or on my enduro bike rather. Yeah, I got that bike. It's dialed. I didn't go crazy with that build. It's just workhorse. It's functional.
Right.
XO axis. I'm sold on wireless. I didn't want to be, and I don't mean it. I just what was wrong with mechanical?
Right.
I'm that guy.
Right.
And it shifts fine.
Yeah.
And then I was on a bike that had axis I was on it for about 6 months and had to give it back and got back to my mechanical shifting bike one ride and it just felt clunky.
Right.
Well, I can't do this
You're like,
anymore.
I'm
So
out.
so axis went on.
Which axis did you do?
So I did XO axis. No, I first did GX axis on this.
So transmission.
No, this was a rabbit hole. Yeah. So on the trail bike, I had GX axis because I didn't want to spend a lot of money on it,
Right.
and like I said, workhorse, and so I've had that on there. Then I was building the score, I put XO axis on that. Then transmission came out a couple months afterwards,
Right.
and then I rode that. I'm like, well, now transmission's got to go on that. So I yanked off the XO on the score, put that on the trans,
Right.
and then now have the transmission on the score, which
Nice.
is
Oh, wow.
You like that the best?
absolutely,
Wow.
and I was never that guy so I have it on my enduro bike, and I was never the guy that said, oh, I like a quiet drivetrain or that type of thing. It just never bothered me. In fact, I kind of like the noise of my bike smashing rocks underneath me.
Right.
I kind of like that,
Bam, bam.
Yeah, like it sounds like your bike's gonna explode underneath you, But then with the transmission though, it's silent, and that was pretty special. But it's the shifting flawlessly under load, I mean, we've been doing this for a while, so you get good at timing your shifts, and you get your shift technique down, but sometimes you don't. Sometimes
Right.
you just smash it, and
Sure.
and you hear back there, and that's not the case anymore. That
you're
was a thing
tired.
of the past.
When you're tired, or when
That
you're,
or steep
Yeah,
climbs,
totally.
or change in trail, that type
For
of
sure.
thing,
For
And
sure.
I think I don't have it on my e-bike yet. I can't afford putting on every single bike, but I think it makes so much sense for an e-bike. There's so much more torque down there now. And so. Yeah, it just that's just like the common sense evolution, I think, of a drivetrain, that now you can shift under load and not even worry about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A couple things come to mind for me about the Trans is Giant's so committed to that proper trail bike category, which is really what almost maybe most people really need. And it's not a downcountry bike. It's not an all mountain bike.
Right.
It is a classic trail bike, like tough enough to go everywhere,
Yeah.
light enough to go everywhere, really, really balanced.
And between the Trans and the Trans X, you can set it up in so many different ways.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
I'm describing the whole family, but especially I guess currently would be the Trans X29 that I'm describing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the Trans not X is like pretty much a downcountry bike in my
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah.
Especially
I
if
agree.
you buy a carbon one and it's light and
Yeah.
everything. Right. But the X, it's like, just to compare it to the Santa Cruz's lineup has become sort of a good lineup to benchmark against.
Yeah.
And compared to the Santa Cruz lineup, it's more travel and lighter than a tall boy, the Trans X.
Right.
And it's less travel than a high tower.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. And then the Trans would be more like the tall boy, 130 up front.
Except that's way lighter. Like the Trance, I think Blur is closer in weight to a Blur than a tall
For
boy.
sure. Oh yeah.
And so the other thing about Giant is the Maestro suspension, elite, among the best, maybe the best, but hands down so if we're going to compare it to, say, Pivot suspension, like the DW Link on a Pivot, I'm going to have a hard time giving the nod to one or the other, but I'm not just going to be like, oh, Giant dominates in that framing. But compared to anyone who has any sort of value proposition or any full line, compared to Trek or Specialized, like they have the best suspension.
Right.
Like the Maestro suspension belongs in the same conversation with DW Link and VPP.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
I don't think that, and I think Horse Link is very, very good, but what's more or less what Specialized still uses, but I don't think it's quite as good. And I think that the split pivot that Trek uses is very, very good, but I don't think it's quite as. I think just as a suspension platform, it doesn't have it. Well, for one thing, both of those suspension platforms, they're not short link designs, which is really kind of the way I think these days.
Right.
And with the Trek design, you really have just an arcing wheel path. There's not much you can do with the wheel path on the Trek design. With the Specialized design, you do have more wheel path options, but having that pivot way out by the dropout, I think that's no longer the leading way to do it.
I think so. Yeah, I agree.
And there's some trade-offs with anti-squat and everything. I think that you kind of have to make if you're going to do, and with lateral stiffness in the rear triangle. So,
right.
I love DW Link bikes. I love VPP bikes, and I love the Maestro too, and I love the price tag of the Maestro. I'm not gonna lie.
Predictable, well-behaved.
It's such a great value, for what you're getting. I think.
100%.
And you mentioned you have the Score, but that's the 4060.
4060, yeah,
right.
Yeah. Trust me, really, really want the 2030.
Yeah,
it's just a matter of how many bikes in the fleet can I have,
Because that 2030 might be is that a replacement for the? No, it's too short for the Trans X.
It would be, and it's on, and
right?
I've been riding the Trans for 2 years now.
Right.
Certainly a whole year. It's year and a half. It's time to try something different.
So Trans X to 2030, you'd go heavier, less travel, in the kind of like so. But you'd get a significantly slacker head angle. And as much as I just spent a long time talking at Maestro, I'm pretty excited about the suspension on the Score.
Exactly. And that's for someone who loves VPP and someone who loves Maestro, like the Score makes so much sense. And that's why that was the original reason I got the 4060. It's a very similar suspension design. I love how that works.
Right.
And so that's what, and I'm super happy with that, with the 4060. Absolutely love it. That was my.
What do people need to know about that bike?
Pardon?
What do people not know about that bike that they need to know about, or what do you love about it?
I think it's so much not on people's radar. The adjustability of it is pretty awesome. With one frame, you can run it in the 150, 140. It comes with the headset cups and the geometry adjustments. So you would need a different fork. You need a different stroke and eye shock. But if you had those two, then you have two different trail bikes. You
have a short travel and a long travel.
Yeah, or I guess in the 150, 140, it would be most close to the Trans that I'm on right now, which is obviously why I already had that.
But you could take it a little bit bigger. You could take it significantly bigger by going in the 170, 160.
Exactly. Yeah. And you can overstroke the shock and get a little bit more out of that. So like 167-ish roughly, And so, so I have it 170 up front and then overstroke the shock. And I set that up as an enduro bike. I have pedaled it, but I don't love to.
Right.
DH casing tires, Cush core,
right.
Coil shock, put a coil, the smash pot coil conversion in the fork. I rave about that.
Yeah.
But that is an extremely capable enduro bike, yet it feels playful like a trail bike. You know, I mean, that was my bike park rig. It was, I already have a ton of miles on it, and I'm loving a lot of different situations, but that's my bike park rig.
Luke, he was on the rigged supply and I were riding, and we dropped in a pretty steep technical trail that I haven't ridden in a while, and had a fantastic time on it. And we got down to the bottom, and we were pedaling back, and the whole way back we were kind of talking about, man, the trances are so capable to roll this trail and get us to the bottom and just have a fantastic time hooting and hollering. But he says, yeah, but you know what? You get down to the bottom, and what's the first thing you start talking about is how you might tune the suspension, how you might change the bike, make it a little bit bigger, a little more capable. Mm-hmm. And it's an indicator that we said, what about the Score 4060? That something a little bit longer, a little bit bigger, to handle a little bit burlier type of trails.
I'm definitely not going shorter travel than the Trans X Advanced. You know, I think that's, for me, that sweet spot is that 150, 130, 140 range. Which is that 40-60 short travel.
Yeah.
What color is your new bike going to be again? Is it pink? Is it black and tan?
I guess it depends on which one I go with, but I'm a sucker for pinks and purples. I'm not gonna lie. I'm bright. Yeah, totally.
You took a bunch of the crew out to ride San Juan recently, right?
Yeah. Oh gosh, talk about redemption. So last year we did a group ride, a lot of great friends and a lot of Path employees too. We did the San Juan Trail, and if you know what last year was like, it was raining. Every trail was closed. That was the one trail that was still open.
Right.
I looked at the forecast, and it looked like all the showers were going to be gone. Certainly by midday, but it looked like they're going to be gone by early morning. And then we're in my mind, we're going to have a nice ride. Tacky ground. San Juan's fun after a little bit of rain. It takes a lot of rain for that to not be rideable. Well, we got a lot of rain. we get up to the top, and clouds start coming in. Weather said it was not going to rain, so we're good.
We're going.
Yeah, we're good. And so much so that nobody had rain gear or anything. We were thinking it was going to maybe showers, if anything. And so we drop in, and no, it started sprinkling before we dropped in. As we dropped in, it started coming down harder and harder. Started to hail on us in the midway down. It rained the whole way down. Talk about just a survival. We were just trying to survive getting down to the bottom. So then this year though, it had rained a little bit before, and the trail was perfect. Right. I mean, it was a really, really great time. In fact, I said it was probably the best conditions and the most fun I'd had. And the crew was awesome. That has a lot, you ride with a good crew. It doesn't really matter where you ride.
Right.
But it's a really, really fun time with, and it was a lot of the same guys who had done it the year prior. So,
for a lot of people.
Absolutely. Yeah. Awesome that they would stick it out and join me for another one, but, it was redemption. It was way more fun. Like I said, the year before it was just survival, just trying to get down. This year was a blast. But I think the move is Palm Canyon Epic on New Year's Day. I think that's the new. I think that's going to be the new tradition from here on out.
That's fantastic.
That might be a little bit of a gauntlet for some of the crew. Yeah, you get some people.
Well,
it's good. It's fine.
I'm selective with who I'll ride Palm Canyon Epic with.
Yeah,
it's the real deal. Like, you're in the middle of nowhere where the trail gets the most technical.
Yeah.
If something goes wrong, it can go wrong really quick, and you're nowhere close to civilization. And so, and it does, and so, that's not the trail that I would recommend is everybody go out and ride, Check Trail Force, see what it has to say.
Has some advanced sections, but it's it's kind of relentless, and you get yourself pretty far away from any help.
Right. That's it. And once you're into it, you're into it.
Right.
You know.
Where else have you traveled lately to ride?
Lately, well, so I had a big trip planned to Durango and then meet some friends in Moab to do the whole enchilada. And on the way out to Durango, my van broke down, so I was stuck in Kingman, Arizona for a couple days while that got fixed. And so I just cut out the whole Durango side of things, and I just went to the whole enchilada and rode that. That was in November. So that was right. You know, as the leaves are changing, you know.
Oh, wow,
so
right.
For those that don't know, the whole enchilada, you drop off at the shuttle van takes you to 10,000 feet, and then you pedal up to 11,000 feet, and then you drop all the way down to, you know, you go through a bunch of different ecosystems, but you drop into aspens, and I had never been in aspens when they were changing. The leaves were changing colors. It was absolutely gorgeous.
Right.
And I feel fortunate. I've been able to do a whole enchilada twice. I have a lot of friends that they get there and it's snowed in up top, and that's what happens a lot, you know. So a lot of my friends haven't been able to do it.
I've never done the very top.
Right.
Yeah, it gets. I mean, you are.
I think I've seen aspens there though.
Yeah. Hazard County's got so if you don't go all the way to the top where the shuttle companies drop you off, and you're still in aspens there. Yeah. When I got out of the car and I mean, at 10,000 feet, I was out of breath. Like I hadn't even unloaded my bike yet.
Right.
You know, I was already out of breath.
Right,
you know,
right.
and there's still. I'd done it before. There's a whole 1,000 feet of climbing at 11,000 feet, and for me, it's a bear. And so the moment the trail got steep like that, I got off my bike and I pushed the whole way up. I didn't even attempt to try to pedal.
Oh gosh!
And that was the right move. Like the rest of the crew that I was with, they're trying to prove something and pedal up it, you know, and
save your energy.
Save your energy. That was the first mile.
Right,
We've got
exactly.
26 miles downhill. You know,
Right.
like right.
Pedally downhill.
It's a pedally downhill.
Right.
That is, I had forgotten how chunky that trail is. That trail gives it the whole way down. You know, and so it was a rough ride. I hadn't ridden probably 6 weeks prior. I took a pretty bad crash and hurt some ribs, and I was in quite a bit of pain, but had this trip planned and was not going to cancel it. So so I did that whole ride with pretty banged up. So even though I cut out the whole Durango part of things, that the whole enchilada that time of year is just absolutely spectacular. I'm so glad I pushed through it. You know, and that's a lot of these things, you know, where it's those really challenging ones that really stick in your head as the most rewarding, you know. And yeah, that's a lot of fun. And then prior to that, I did what prompted the Durango trip is a couple weeks prior, I did a Colorado trip where I went through Flagstaff and then into Durango. And I was going to spend a couple days in Durango, and then I realized it got so much riding. That's a trip in and of itself. So I decided not even. I did one ride, and then I decided that I was just going to hit bike parks until it was right when bike park season was closing. So I decided that I'd just hit the bike parks until they closed. It was literally the last week they were all closing, you know.
Right.
And so I hit up. I did Purgatory outside of Durango, and then Telluride, and then Crested Butte. All those bike parks are spectacular, you know, and
awesome.
Yeah, I mean, and all different. I mean, only bike parks I had been to have been in California, really, you know, and so it's really neat to travel to a different bike park to see a different terrain, number one, you know, but then also a different trail crews, you know, the trails are built differently, you know, and that's why I travel, is to ride different trails and different terrain and that, you know, and it was really cool to ride 3 different bike parks in 3 separate days and completely different from each other, you know. So that was a lot of fun. And then spent a few days in Crested Butte, which is some friends of mine that I really respect their trail data, said it was a really cool town, but then also the trails were great too. Right. And so I spent a few days there and rode there, and I got pretty sick on that trip. I started that's kind of what dictated the bike park. I was too sick to do several thousand feet, 20 mile. I mean, I had some big days planned, and so I'm like, I don't think I have that in me. So I had 3 bikes with me. I had my trail bike, my enduro bike, and my e-bike. And so I did the bike parks first couple days. Then I had a big pedal day planned, and that killed me. And so then I realized, okay, this trip's got to change a little bit. I'm not going to be able to do 20 miles, on a regular bike. So then I pulled out the e-bike, and I was able to get 20 miles in, I mean, it was a complete game changer. And so, yeah, I want to go back. Those trails it'd be a lot of fun on a trail bike, but having that ability to be able to pull out that e-bike, and still, I mean, I was on the trip, I'm going to be sick somewhere, so might as well be sick in Crescent View, where it's absolutely gorgeous, and get a little bit of pedal in, and then Gunnison Rocks, or outside of Gunnison, that riding is really good too, and hit that on the way home. And then kind of doing a big loop, then came down and hit Cedar City on the way through Utah. Normally, I've never even ridden Cedar City before. I didn't realize the trails are as good as they are. They're had a great time riding there, but normally my trips in Utah are to like the Hurricane area and St. George and all that. I mean, that's my go-to spot. I travel there a ton. The riding is so good there. How did I didn't even know that just up the freeway a little bit more, he's doing some more riding, So anyway, yeah, that was that opened my eye to. It was my first big trip to Colorado, and opened my eyes to the Colorado riding. And man, that's why I had that Durango trip planned, because I wanted to get back quick, and went back like a couple weeks later. That's, I think, a big benefit of. I think a big part of my happiness is at the Path. It's a big culture to. It's part of the culture is we're in this sport, we like to get out there and do it too, and so, everyone's, so lately I've been covering shifts for a lot of folks, and a lot of people have trips planned. So I've been covering shifts for them, knowing that I was paying them back because they all covered my shift when I was going on those trips, So I don't travel much through the winter time, but apparently a lot of other people do. So I was I've been covering shifts for a lot of folks, but the ability to be able to take a couple days off and get out and ride that's a big part of my happiness here, Yeah, so this job allows me to do exactly what it is I like to do, and that's get out and travel, and try mountain biking new spots. So those are the big trips that I had towards the end of last year.
I think some people are going to be inspired to get out and ride hearing about this.
I hope so. If there's one thing I don't shut up about, and that's talking about the trails that I've ridden. It's pretty special, and that's a big part of what we do. So many of our customers, they travel around or they're heading to a spot I just got back from, and I kind of relive it, and then say, oh, you got to check out this pizza place, or whatever. Incidentally, I did not find any good pizza places in Colorado. I'm sure they're there, but I didn't find any.
You can get that big mountain feel in Colorado and Utah too. That the Sierras have big mountains, and Mammoth's a big mountain. Big Bear's a proper mountain, but there's something about the mountains in Utah and especially Colorado that have like a big mountain feel.
Yeah, I mean, Crested Butte, you're like 8,000 feet, I think. It was where I was camped at, and you climb up to 10,000 feet, and so it's hour and a half, 45-minute climb, and then just a rip and descent, There's nothing like that, it's coastal California riding is definitely way different. You don't get that that type of descent.
It's
cool.
I feel like that's a great place to.
That's what I was thinking too. Sweet.
Done.
Yeah.
Wow.
Jeff, you're an inspiration. That's why we're gonna know where to go. But
oh man.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing all that, Jeff. Thanks, Hawk. Thanks, Jake. Thanks to all the listeners, and thanks to all the coworkers at the Path and the customers and riders in our community. Thanks to all the trail builders out there and people who do trail maintenance and advocates who keep the trails open to mountain bikes. And let's all remember to love the bike we ride.